Okay, I'm gonna do a review today of what all we've done. Gonna go back to north today. Really don't want to, but I have to. Gonna go north today, and I won't be back until Monday after this Monday. So it'll be about a week, and I'll be back. What we did, we came down here to New Mexico looking for a place to, for basically a base camp, to someplace where we could ride the motorcycles from and come back and not have to spend money on a motel and all that stuff, because we really like it down here. I really like it down here. And it's pretty. Lots of places to ride. You can get away from the people. And it's always good to get away from people. Don't like people. So we came down here and bought all this land. 120 acres total. We got 20 acres up for sale. But that's basically what we did. So came down here, bought this land. The first thing we did was we came out here and we put up this weather station. It's down here. Ham radio. And we put it up because we wanted to know what the weather was like. And we figured out which way was south, and we set the buildings up so that they're facing south. The front door is south, almost exactly south. But we set this weather station up. My call sign, ham radio, is Kilo Juliet 7 Alpha Zulu. And got all this up and running. I'm not going to open it up. I don't want to open it up. I have to take down the fence and stuff, and that takes time. I can. What the heck? It's a review. So I'll take down the fence. And that's the weather station. It's got a cooling fan. It's getting a little bit of dust in there. Probably have to bring some air out and clean it up. But with this wind, it's not surprising. The rain gauge isn't working properly right now. I don't know why. I think it's the cable myself. But the rain gauge isn't quite working the way it's supposed to. Anyhow, that's the weather station. Battery's charging at the moment. It's an APRS weather station. That's a position locating system designed by Bob Brunenga. It's the grandfather of all of your car position locating systems and stuff like that. Anyhow, that's what we did. We started out by buying the buildings. Next thing we did, I should say, was we bought the buildings. These are Graceland. Graceland's not available everywhere, I don't think, but they're great buildings. These things are just built hard, stacked. They're nice. We bought these two buildings and pulled them together. Got to get around baby here, he's in the way. Darn dogs. But this building is what's called a garden shed. And it's a portable building. Pretty cool. They're really built solid. The division between the two buildings is right here. There's just a slight gap between them right now. And it's full of foam. And this part of the building down here is called the garden shed. That one down there is the corner porch. I think I might have said garden shed. But the first building is called a corner porch. And this building is called a garden shed. They're 12 by 24 for the garden shed and 12 by 28 for the corner porch. Now the only mistake we did here, we should have just gone ahead and got the biggest. These are working out great, don't get me wrong, we're happy with them. But we should have got the biggest. And I don't even know what the biggest is, but they're pretty darn big. So that's our buildings. There's your Graceland, garden shed, and corner porch. So that's what we got for our buildings. Let's stop there for a minute. So once we got the two buildings pulled together, and that wasn't an easy task. It would have been easier if I'd have thought about it. And right at the beginning, it took me 2 or 3 days to get them pulled together. I probably could have done it in a half a day if I'd have thought about it. But anyhow, the next thing we did was we went and bargain basemented a bunch of solar panels. These solar panels up here on the roof. We bought 8. Those are Solar World panels up there on top. They're 230 watt, 230 or 235 watt Solar World panels. And we found them super cheap from a guy who was selling solar panels out of the back seat of his car. And we bought them. And then I went down to Salt Lake to Wholesale Solar in Jordan, Nebraska, or Utah, and got these panels. I got 4 of these. These are Wholesale Solar, 270 watt, 275 watt. And these actually were the first ones I put up on the building. I couldn't get on top of the building because it was just too darn windy the first few weeks that we were here, and we needed to get something up for we wanted to put in a refrigerator and some lighting, so we got these 2 up. And these are facing due west. That's west. So we got those 2 up first. And that worked out really, really well. Those two panels by themselves and 1 charge controller actually ran the refrigerator and all the lighting for quite a while before we got the next 2 panels up. So I'm going to stop it there and be right back. Okay. So after we got those 2 panels up on that wall out here, well, actually before we got them up, we went out and did a little research on batteries and came up with these Trojan 6-volt L16E-AC deep cycle batteries. We bought 2 of those. And we bought, I think I bought 2 or 3 of the CM3024Z charge controllers. Okay, yes, they are PWM controllers. I know a lot of people don't like PWM controllers, but they work. I've only had issues with one. I might be having issues with that one, but I've only had issues with one, and the reason I had issues for that one was when I first hooked it up, I plugged it in backwards. My fault. I wasn't wearing my glasses, it was dark in here, and I hooked it up backwards. And it didn't work. So I reversed it, and after that, the controller would lock up. And it would just lock up sporadically. It wasn't anything real bad or anything like that. but it did lock up. And I think what I did at that time, when I first hooked it up, was I hooked up 2 controllers and hooked up one panel to this one and one panel to this one. That was before I had anything up on the roof. So this one would lock up, and this one would continue charging. And it worked. It worked for 2 or 3 months like that before I finally got 2 more panels up on the roof. It took a long time for me to get to where I could get the panels up on the roof just because of the wind. And I'm pretty sure that I put those first 2 panels up by myself. I didn't have anything to help me get them up there. I was just lifting them up there all by myself. Eventually, I will go with the very much more expensive I don't know what they are, can't think of it. The other ones, the ones that everybody says are so great, but they're also very much more expensive. But I am also going to buy another set of these to have them on standby because they work. The reason I went with this particular controller is because I looked at the reviews online of all the different controllers and added them up, and this controller came up with the very best reviews of all of them. You go on YouTube and look, and you'll find them. They're all over the place. They took controllers apart and looked at them. They took different controllers and hooked them up together and decided which one was more efficient and which one wasn't. Also, another thing is a lot of controllers will say this is a 30 amp and you won't be able to stick a 10 gauge wire in there because the hole is so small. I can put an 8 gauge wire in that. They are 30 amp controllers, and a lot of them are not. Anyhow, after I got that done, I'm going to stop it there just because this thing is goofy sometimes. After we got that done, we started with all this other stuff, getting all this other stuff put together and hooked up. Some of it I had and was putting it up as I went. We got the AC going. We got lighting first. We put in all the lights. Didn't put in all the lights. We put in enough light to work. We put in a light in here, a light in the bedroom, and a light in the living room because we were running on a generator, which is down there on the floor. It's a Predator 4000 that we got from, where did we get that? Harbor Freights. And it's a running little demon. I figured out how to get around my EMI problem the other day by just disconnecting that and plugging it in to the Predator, because there's no static out of the Predator. There's no EMI, but there's tons of it out of this inverter. But we got this one here in first, and pretty much all of this. I had some really cheap amp gauges that I put in, and they didn't work out very well. But all this stuff came off Amazon. Everything here, all the wiring and everything came off Amazon. The wire itself, I think we got off of Home Depot. All of the house wiring is 10 gauge. The house is wired like I would have wired a motorhome, and that's pretty much exactly what it is. Everything works great. Matter of fact, motorhomes a lot of times use much smaller wiring than 10 gauge. I've got 12 gauge, this is 12 gauge here, and most of this is 10 gauge. And everything's running off 5 amp fuses. I've got a 10 amp fuse going to the water pump for the rain gauge, and a 10 amp fuse going to the water pump for the house. That's it. Everything else is 5 amp. I don't even need 5 amp. We've seen how much it actually draws. I could drop most of these down to 2.5 and not have an issue. We put in the AC next. I still need to hook up. I got a lot of wires here that I still have to hook up, and I'll cover up the box. The AC was put in next, and I'm using the PowerTech On pure sine wave inverter. And we tested that, and it is pure sine wave. I didn't find any, what they call them, YouTube reviews directly on this inverter, but it talked a lot about how to check them out and stuff like that, so this one here was a really good choice. But it's got crap for EMI prevention. This is a 3,000, 6,000 watt inverter, and I've had this up to 99 amps that I know of. I think these only go to 99, and after that they don't go any higher. But anyhow, that's what we did. Got that inverter and started hooking up AC stuff. The only AC stuff we had for a very long time in here was the refrigerator. I had to clean it off. I haven't made my bed yet this morning. It's right there. The refrigerator is a 2-timber camo by Criterion, whatever this is, Criterion. And the way we did this is a 110 volt refrigerator, freezer is what it is. It's got pop and a little bit of food, not very much, and beer and whatever else. We got this Inkbird temperature controller, and had to set it up to turn on at 39 degrees and turn off at 35 degrees. So it doesn't freeze anything. Right now it is 38.3 degrees in the refrigerator, and this one up here says it is 35 degrees inside the refrigerator. So that one's at the very bottom of the refrigerator, and so is that one. So there's 3 degrees difference between the two. But this has about a 30-minute duty cycle, so it'll be off for 30 to 40 minutes and then on for about 5. It only turns on for about 5 minutes before it reaches 35 degrees. And I don't even really think it stays on that long sometimes. I've watched it, and sometimes it'll be 3 or 4 minutes before it'll turn on. But that's what we did next. We needed someplace to put stuff, and that was it. So I'm going to stop this video again for a minute. Okay, go away, Sheldon. Go. Sheldon's being a pain in the hiney. Alright, got that all up. Got the power working in there. This is my target. It's going to blow away. We started working on the water. We got the septic system in. It's down here. The leach field is out there, septic is there, drains and everything are all over the place here. And the water tank. The water tank is buried about 3 feet into the ground, and that keeps the bottom end of the water from freezing. So if we have a long spell of cold, the top will freeze, but the bottom will stay unfrozen. The shutoff valve is there. Pop that cap off and I can turn the water off. There's my turn off thing. I gotta clean up out here, it's looking messy. But that's what we did. The water goes in over there, and the sewer goes down right underneath here. So that's what we did with that. Got the thing filled up. It's really cheap to get this thing filled, if I need to with city water. Not very expensive at all. We're going to get a water tank to set on the trailer out there, and I can come up here and fill it up myself, and it'll be even cheaper. We got that done, and then we went and got the propane. I put in all the propane myself. Everything there was done by me. And the inspector came out and he inspected it. Had to have permits for that. And he said it was good. So it was good. Sheldon's jumping up in the air. We had to have permits also for the septic tank. Those are the big things that they want permits for around here. So I got all that done. These are portable buildings, so I don't really need permits for quite a bit of the stuff that I've done. So, after we got that in, we went ahead and did the rainwater tank. It's a 305-gallon tank. I don't remember who it was I got the big tank from, but it's a company in Tularosa, New Mexico. This tank was $3,000, I think. The septic was $5,000. And while we're in the money brackets here, the two buildings together, both of the buildings came to like $12,500 or something like that. Was not very expensive. It was very, very, very good. And we're thinking about buying one more for like a carport or a shed. I really need someplace to put tools, but we want someplace to put a car too, to where if we bring something down here and leave it, it won't be sitting out in the sun. And the motorcycles, we want to set them underneath the carport. So that may be our next purchase. We're just considering it, thinking about it. So get that done. And we put in the rainwater tank. I'm going to jump a little bit here. This is the original house pump, water pump. That's the one we were using in the house. It's a SureFlow model 4008-1D1 or 101-A65. But we weren't thinking that this was getting us enough water pressure, because when we hooked up the water inside the house, it was just trickling out of the shower. And I can explain that in a bit, what happened there. It was really dumb. But I have this set up. I could not find a double pole, double throw switch anywhere locally. Nowhere could I find a double pole, double throw switch, so I made one. It's on automatic now. This is manual up there. If I turn that on, it turns on. You can barely hear that. But I made a switch. It's on auto. There's a wire here that goes down to a float. You can buy this float anywhere, and you just cut off the end. It's a 2-wire system, and you hook it up in there. But this float, when it comes up, it'll turn the pump on, and when it goes back down, it turns the pump off, and it keeps this from getting too full. If it does get too full, it's got a valve right here. We can drain it if we're going to be away, and I don't think we're going to have that problem for a while. But it pumps out here in this red wire over there to the top of the tank, and you're all done. I put a little bit of bleach in this to keep the germs down. Rainwater comes off the roof and goes into that catch tank. It goes through these 2 filters and into the tank, and then it goes through another filter when it comes out, and through the pump and into that tank. I need to get a finer filter on all 3 of these. Been looking for one, haven't found a decent one yet. But that's our rainwater catch system. it is legal to catch rainwater in New Mexico. Of course, the Californians are trying to change that. So anyhow, that's our water system. Let's go in here and look underneath the sink real quick. I've got the pump and another filter, purification filter, underneath the kitchen sink. Okay. These are little spare propane bottles for the barbecue. That is a SureFlow water model 5059-1310 something. But this pump is really loud. And when I had the other pump in here, you could barely hear it. But this pump's noisy. It's on rubber, but it's still really noisy. I have a diaphragm tank, a pressure tank, and it'll turn on maybe. The pump will turn, or the pressure tank, yeah, the pump will turn on maybe twice during a good shower, and once when you flush the toilet. It takes it a while if you're just doing dishes or anything like that. So that's my water tank. I hook up the washing machine here. These are all PEX. Everything's PEX. I really like this PEX stuff. I need to probably put that up so there's no tension on this cable, or that hose. But this is all PEX plastic. It won't break and freeze like copper or galvanized. It's not supposed to anyhow. But that's our water system. The shower, let me go get the model number on that shower. PFER or something like that. PFER, PF, something ER. Pfister. I got the Solita, S-O-L-I-T-A shower. And when we hooked it up, the first thing I did was I hooked up the cold side. And I didn't have the hot side hooked up yet. It was just plugged off because I didn't have the water heater yet. So when you come in here and you turn on the water, there'll be just a trickle coming out of the shower. We'll come to find out, if you don't have the hot water side hooked up too, all you're going to get is a trickle. You have to have both sides of the water hooked up both at the same time. And so I ended up buying that higher capacity pump, and when I did that, it did the same thing. And then I thought, well, maybe I have to have the hot water hooked up also. We were thinking about even getting a bigger pump, and that wouldn't have done any good. But I kept telling Sue we had good pressure here, and we had good pressure here. But it ended up being that we just had to have the hot water hooked up also. The water heater is a Richmond tankless. It's a good little water heater. I might put one of those in my house when I do the bathroom at home. It's a ventless, or a direct vent water heater. It goes out the back of the house. And the propane guys came in and inspected that. They were impressed. But I've done propane before. I worked for propane for a very long time, so I know how all this stuff works and how it goes in. But that's a tankless direct vent water heater. If you're going to get a water heater, I really suggest one of these. It's way cool. But that's also one of the reasons we went ahead and did a lot of 110 in here. We could have gotten a 12-volt refrigerator for about 3 times the price. We could have gotten a 12-volt water heater for about 3 times the price. And we could have done a lot of things for 3 times the price as far as electricity goes. But 12-volt equipment was really expensive. This stuff made for motorhomes was really expensive. We could have done it, but we didn't. We had to go ahead and do 110. Now 110's raised some issues I'm still trying to work out as far as radio interference. But that's the water heater. I'm going to cut this off there. Okay, we got the water hooked up. Then we started with the propane. I'm going to back up just a little bit. In order to get the water hooked up, we had to decide what cabinets we were going to use. So these cabinets all came from Lowe's. The water pump and stuff we got off eBay, or not eBay, Amazon. But you'd be amazed at how much of this stuff we bought at Amazon. But the cabinets came from Lowe's. The countertop came from Menards. No, it didn't. What's the name of that place? Think. Yeah, it's Menards up in Cheyenne. The countertops came from Menards. The cabinets came from Lowe's. So before we even bought this cabinet, we had to decide what water heater we were buying. We had to have the exact dimensions so we would know it would fit. So you got to figure out where you're going to put your water heater. And that was really difficult, deciding where to put this water heater. Very, very difficult. And figured out that it would fit inside this cabinet. And it works fantastic. Direct vent, draws its air from outside and exhausts outside. But that's where we got these. This cabinet is not fastened down. I can pull it out at any time I want. And that way I can work on that back there, work on the shower. This tin on this side isn't really fastened to anything. It's just kind of there. And that way I can pull all this out and work on that if I have to. I'm going to shut off this light. Save the sunlight. Don't want to use up all the sunlight. The heater down here is a Williams also, and that is also a direct vent. The heater and the water heater both came from Menards. So that's what we did here. A lot of the wiring was put in. It wasn't really directly planned. It was as we needed. So we figured out that we would need, we're going to put a shelf here, just a small little shelf for phones and stuff. We've got 12 volt there to plug in your USB devices. That was probably the first outlet we put in. This was the first 110 volt outlet. There's 2 of them. There's one down there and one up there, because I knew that this is where we were going to want the TV. Now, TV isn't exactly what you might call off-grid, but if the shit hits the fan, it's going to go away. It's going to quit working, and that's not a big deal. I need noise. I have MP3 players. I have stuff like that. But TV, I'm sure, will quit working should the shit hit the fan. And it's not a big deal. For now, we have noise, and I need noise because I'm deaf, and I like to hear that noise in the background. It covers up the ringing. But the electrical outlets we put up as needed. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 of them over here. One down there for 12 volt in AC, 12 volt in AC. And they'll be all over the house. The only wall that does not have any 12 volt or AC is that wall and this wall. no 12 volt or AC on either one of those. There is 12 volt and AC coming down that wall. But the 12 volt and AC was put in as we needed it and as we decided where we were going to put it. There's a 12 volt line up there. But I'm not 100% sure we're going to need it. We were going to put in a light across that and do it the same as I did the bathroom lighting, which is built in pipes. You can see how I did that. It's all handmade. These are 12 volt monster bulbs. I got those off Amazon. They're not very expensive. I think they're $12 a piece, something like that. I think I might have got some of them for $6. I'll shine this at the wall. That's with no light. That's with the little light. And that's with all the light. That's all the lights lit up. And that draws maybe a half an amp. I mean, not very much. The water heater controller is right there. That's actually built into the wall. And, yeah, you know, we needed a security system. So we went with Zomoto security stuff. There's our inside camera. That stuff works fantastic. I've done a lot of work in security camera stuff, and that is probably the best that I've found. They've worked non-stop for a year. They do a great job. A fantastic job. I think I've included a couple of videos in these smaller videos that we've taken with those. We've got those around the property, and I also have driveway sensors, so I know if anybody's coming down the road. There's other sensors around too, but I won't go into that. But that's pretty much how we decided where stuff was going. That 110 volt over there was also one of the first things I did, because I had a bench there, and I needed, you know, to work my drill press and stuff like that. The generator ran anything I wanted it to, no problem, and that inverter runs anything I want it to, no problem. So for the longest time, I was doing all the cutting and stuff like that with the generator. Now I just use the inverter. So that was pretty much how we did all the wiring. I don't know if I'm missing stuff or not. So once we got the wiring where we wanted it, and we piecemealed the insulation. The wall insulation is foam. Let me see if I can find a sheet of that foam. It's cold in here. That's the foam. This piece here, these pieces we're using for window blocks. Put those up in the windows. This has a R factor of a 3, I think. It's either 3 or 5. And then the insulation in the walls is a R13. So we put the R13 and the foam in all the walls, all the way around. So this was the first room that we drywalled. And I hate drywall. It's not done professionally. I don't know how to do drywall professionally, and I don't want to know how to do drywall professionally. But I still got the trim and stuff to put up in here. Everything is caulked, so water's not going to get anywhere it's not supposed to. It's caulked in the seams and everything. But it's insulated to death. So the walls all have an R3 foam and an R13 Pink Panther insulation. The roof is drywalled and tinned in here, and it has R36, I think it is. The heavy-duty Pink Panther roof insulation. It's R36 or R38 or R34, something like that. It's the best stuff. It's the really good stuff. And it's packed. I mean, it is full of insulation. Should I need to get up there, it's not going to happen. That's why when I put in the wiring in the roof, there are no splices anywhere, and most of it's in conduit. We use the gray electrical plastic conduit, PVC conduit throughout the house. So most of the wires in the roof are inside conduit. There are a handful that's not, but most of them are in conduit. There's not a single splice inside the roof. These lighting here does have a splice, and well, all the lighting, that one down there and everything, but it's got enough slack I can pull it down about a foot and be able to work on it. I had an issue the other day with this outlet when I was playing with my CB on it. I'm going to redo all this wiring too. It's not the way I want it. But I pulled the connector at the fuse while I was putting those chokes on. And it took all of 3 minutes to figure out what I did. It wasn't too bad at all. But that, I think, is the living room area. Like I say, most of the electrical stuff came from Amazon. I don't remember where Sue got this light, but it's a pretty awesome light. It's all dusty now. I don't remember where she got it. And then we have Menards, we have Lowe's. This freezer came from Menards. The controller came from Amazon. The TV came from Walmart. The sound bar came from someplace. I don't remember where. I think that was Menards also, on sale for like 10 bucks. The microwave is just a Hamilton Beach 900 watt, and it works great. It draws a lot, but it works great. I don't think I would want to cook a turkey in it. So let's move on back here. The washing machine also came from Menards. It's a Midea MAE 50 1102 PS washing machine. I've washed probably 15 or 20 loads of laundry in it. Now, if you're starving for water, you might want to put that on light load. I mean, it will use a lot of water if you let it. The flooring we're going to put in is all back here. It's Target. I don't remember what color it is, but that's it. It's brownish looking. And this is the stuff for the underlayment. Oh, what else did we do in here? We replaced these windows. The building came with single pane windows. We should have got it with double pane. But there's our windows. These came from Lowe's. These are metal windows. I just recently replaced those. The back door and the front door are both Williams. We had this one installed. I didn't know how to put it in. Even after watching YouTube videos, it was like scary. But it's in. That's our back door. We're going to get a screen door for that with a dog door in it. But we, for some reason, thought that was a 36-inch door. When we bought it, we thought it was a 36-inch door, but we didn't pay very close attention because it was a 32-inch door. But that one came from Lowe's also. And we may have to see if we can take that other one back, because I don't know if they'll take it back after this length of time, but we need to. What else do we have here? The stove. Oh yeah. The propane stove. This is a Premier. I love this stove. This is an awesome stove. Everything's automatic. It's propane. It was really easy to convert. I liked it so much that I bought one for my house in Rawlins. It's an awesome stove. I love it. Cook steak in there and whatever you want. But it's cheap. This one here was, I think, $600. The one for my house was cheaper. It was like $300 and something. And we went on and on here doing all the stuff that we're talking about. The wood, the roof is all going to be wood. It's already put up. I'm going to use pieces like that to cover all the seams in the wood. Ceiling fans are double wired. The bulbs are 12 volt and the fan is 110. And the fan uses, I think, about a half an amp on the meter back there. But I wired it for double. Like I say, the bulbs are 12 volt and the fan is 110. It does not have wall switches. All of the switches for that are up there. This bulb is a little bit different. It's one of those Edison type bulbs. And you can see it's pretty awesome. That's a 12 volt bulb also off Amazon. Can't really think of much else. The air conditioner's right there. Got to figure out where I'm going to put that, and we're going to need it pretty quick because it's going to get warm. I'll probably have to run that one off the generator as much as I can. I might try it on the 110 and see what it does. Just a couple weeks ago I had to put that shelf up because I was running out of places to put things. That's supposed to be all food, which it will be. And I'll clean that one up and straighten it out when I have a little help up here and get everything put away where it needs to be. I have enough spare parts out there to probably build another house. All of my tools are Ryobi. I absolutely love Ryobi tools. I've had a lot of Black & Decker and all those other cool brands, and I think Ryobi outlasts them, and they got just as much power. That drill will break your arm if you let it. These are the 18 volt Ryobi tools. Awesome tools. You can buy those at Home Depot. Drill press. It's just a cheap one. Got it from Harbor Freights. I got a vise there. Drill press vise. All that came from Harbor Freights. My ham radio's in there. Collecting dust. A friend of mine in Rawlins wants to trade me a Yaesu. It's a little portable thing that has batteries. I don't know if I want to go for that one or not. I moved the internet up there. We're on HughesNet. I just put it up there so it's out of the way. I need to work on that a little bit more too, get it more out of the way. I think that's probably about it for the review. For the mounting on the solar panels, that's all Unistrut, Super Strut, whatever you want to call it. Do not do it like that. It sucks. It's harder to work with. You know, you might be able to do your side ones if you want an east-west mount. A lot of people are going to east-west now. you go up to Colorado and you see east-west mounts all over the place. And what they're doing is they're collecting the morning sun and they're collecting the evening sun. It does work. I know. I ran those 2 batteries for 2 or 3 months, and it ran our freezer and all of our little things that we had hooked up for 2 or 3 months, just like that. It works. But the Unistrut sucks. Don't use Unistrut. Go ahead and buy the regular solar panel mounting. That stuff works. That Unistrut's a pain in the ass. All of our solar panel wiring is run through conduit on the roof, and the conduit's fastened down up there. I plug the ends. I can run more wire through it if I need to. The original plan was to have 14 panels on the roof, and it could still be done. It could still be done. But yes, I will be switching over to the more fancy CM, the charge controllers eventually, but not right now. We've got a lot of money put out into this, and we need to recoup the losses. We're not going to do anything else, probably. I'll finish what we've done, of course. I have a lot of the wood for finishing the walls in here, but we'll finish all the house. But as far as buying expensive stuff, I'm not going to for a while. I had suggested to me some cheaper, they're $80 a piece. I can't think of what it is, PWW or something like that. Anyhow, I had suggested some cheaper ones, but they're still $80 a piece, and they're only 50 watt or 50 amp. And I'd have to have probably 3 of those, maybe 4 at $80 a piece, where these are 19, 21. And I am going to buy a spare set of these and put them in my emergency stuff. This thing died, I'm not sure where. But on the 12-volt system, let's open one of these up so you can see what's in there. That's a 1 amp and a 2.1 amp. That one's coming apart, I need to fix that. And it has a 12-volt receptacle. But with all the 12-volt running in here, with all the 12-volt running, go away, Sheldon. We're drawing 0.7 of an amp. Right there. I'm going to stop here for the moment. This review cut off, this last section cut off. I'm going to go back and find out where and see if I can recoup the losses on that. I'll be back. Okay, I see where that cut off. It cut off on me. Went back and did a review. I was talking about these charge controllers. Yeah, we will be going with the other ones, but it's just going to be time. It's not going to be today, not going to be tomorrow. We've got another 20 acres out that direction that we're going to sell, and when we sell that, I might go ahead and invest some money into this. See if we can find a less interfering sine wave inverter, and some better charge controllers, but that's down the road. I'm not going to do it today. These work, they're doing a great job, and I am going to keep a spare set of those also. The inverter is another issue. From what I've seen about inverters, is they all put out interference. Some are just worse than others. and it's a tremendous amount of interference. Nothing light duty about it. We got another freezer down there. That's an actual freezer. Trying to get it stocked up. It's filling up slowly. Every time I go to town, I grab a bag of food, whatever will fit in the saddlebag of the bike or whatever, and sometimes frozen food, and bring it down here and put it in there. What else? Am I forgetting anything? We left off on the roof, and then I went in there and talked about our outlets. I do wish we could have found some less expensive outlets, but or less expensive 12-volt stuff. But we went to a lot of different places looking for 12-volt stuff, and it was just flat expensive. And we didn't need expensive, not that expensive. I could have got a 12-volt TV really easily. I could have got a 12-volt Dish or DirecTV box, and they would have supplied that. But I didn't mess with that part, and that doesn't draw that much. Something that people don't realize is the inverter. That microwave's only drawn. It's not drawn very much, really. When you plug it into a meter, it might be 8-10 amps, not very much at all. But when the inverter processes it, it takes energy to make it. So, yeah, when the microwave's running, this amp gauge is going to say 99 amps. But you put an amp gauge in here, and it might say 8 or 10 amps. I can prove that anytime. Anytime anybody wants to see it, I can prove that. So, in reality, the inverter is what's using all the energy to send that 10 amps down to the other end. It's not a matter of line loss or anything like that. It's the inverter. It's not as efficient as what people think they are. What else? Yeah, a good example of that was when we first hooked up that refrigerator down there. When it's running, it's drawing about 2 amps, 1.5, 2 amps. But back here, it's drawing 16 amps. And when I plugged it in here, plugged in the amp gauge I'm using, I don't know where it's at. It's hidden here somewhere. Oh yeah, it's right here. You plug this thing in up here, and you can see that it's drawn 1 or 2 amps here. But on this end, it's drawn 16 amps. So it takes a lot to make that work. It's just the inefficiency of the inverter. So that's why I wanted to go 12 volt, because you could run everything in this house for a month on these batteries if you didn't have to run it through an inverter. What else? Oh golly. Our security system is all either USB or 12 volt. The camera in the kitchen is 12 volt. The stuff outside is all 5 volt USB. The internet, should the shit hit the fan, it'll go away. It's 110. It's on satellite, so I'm sure they won't work anymore. I've got my little airplane and drone up there. The drone I use for taking pictures of the property. We've got a big window right here that's going to take the place of this. And what else? I think that's about it. Toolbox we got from Home Depot. I got a printer there. Computer will go away too, I'm sure. And that's about it. What else? I'm just walking through here, see if there's anything I forgot. You know, every time I do this, I realize after the fact that I forgot something. After I get it all published and there's something else. But I think that's it. I'll quit this video and I'm going to get it published. This has been a review. I won't be back until the Monday after next, so about a week. The Monday after tomorrow. And I have to think about that too, because I might not be able to do it. I think I have an appointment in Cheyenne or in Rawlins. So it might be 2 weeks before I'm back. Anyhow, talk to you later. Bye. Okay, one more thing real quick. Here I am again. On the inverter issue, all of my fuses are 15 and 20. And I could change these out with 15 also. I may do that. But these are 15 amp fuses. If anything, if that microwave was drawing 99 amps, it would blow these fuses. No ifs, ands, or buts. So there you go. It could be that my little gauge is wrong, but I kind of doubt it. So there's proof right there. We got 15 amp fuses, and it was showing 99 amps the other day. So the power is being used by the inverter, not by the equipment. So if we get rid of the inverter, we'll probably be a lot better off. I'm going to hook up that ground before I take off too. Alright, talk to you guys in a week or